Aggressive and screamy tones in singing should be approached kind of step by step. And the first step is to be able to do a clean tone. So you should be able to do a really nice clean tone throughout your range where you're going to use this. And there's a lot of steps involved in that. And I talk a lot about them in the Art of Body Singing. You have to be very well anchored, is what I talk a lot about in the Art of Body Singing. And the anchor in singing is the top back of your mouth where the uvula hangs down. That's the ricochet point. That's the little springboard, the soundboard rather, of this instrument, voice, like any instrument has. And that's the place where pressure's really worked from in voice. There's a pressure that exists between your respiratory system and that stop point. And you have to be a master of that. And there's several examples of that in the Art of Body Singing and some other instructions I have, so I won't go into tons of detail, but you have to know what it is. To be really centered in that and have a great support, because what happens in screamy tones and aggressive tones is that from there you have to direct yourself back into the throat and pick some of these resonances up. And again, another thing to be somewhat versed in all of this, and the better you're going to be singing full range anchor, you're going to have a sense of what I'm talking about here, which is direction, which is up and down. Down. I went kind of extreme at first and did a drop larynx. Or without the drop larynx. Still pretty chesty. Up. Which there is going to get pretty nasally because I'm already pretty bright here, so I'm already up high enough that if I'm at that anchor point, I'm at the opening to the nasal passage. It's a very up thing, but it's also a very back thing, which you'll hear me talk a lot about in singing. Back and down, back and down. We have to have a sense of this pull. And we learn that through so many steps in singing. If we want to understand the vocal break, we have to have a sense of that. If I don't, my voice is going to release into a break. I have to know this direction. So I'm pulling. I have a sense of a pull. And when I'm good at that, and I can hang out there, then I can redirect myself down into the throat and pick up some of the glottal fry that'll turn into a kind of distorted quality for the voice. So I'm just picking up just enough to add some expression. That's kind of how I like it. Now, there are styles that just live there and stay there, and if you do this right, you can do that. If you don't, you're going to get very scorched feeling, and you're going to be starting to go in the wrong direction with this. This is obviously something that can be very precarious, but it's very doable, as evidenced by many great singers that can do it over and over, night after night. It's about being very well anchored and knowing how to pick that tone up. There are ways to start exploring going into your throat, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that today. One that's, something's very popular right now in contemporary voice teaching is a lot of glottal fry techniques for all kinds of things in singing, and one is for extending range and warming up, and that's certainly a place that will take you into your throat, and you'll at least have a sense of where that is. The pressure involved in this is a little different in that whereas these techniques work for certain things about being relaxed, at the end of the day, you have to get out of the throat in singing to create the right pressure to create tone. So that's why these glottal fry techniques, they have a place in the world, but they limit you to being right at the vocal cords. Whereas in tone, you have to be above the throat. You have to be up here. Creating this pressure and this backlash between the thoracic system is called thoracic pressure, the respiratory system, and what we call the anchor here. So when that pressure's right, then you're in a position to go back down and pick up that kind of resonance. So looking at it like that is a very healthy way to cultivate that and work towards having it work for you in a way that's safe to you, and you can use it in a musical kind of way. So work on that carefully and step by step.